staging tips?
Well, staging tips are important because, you know, a lot of sellers don't understand what they need to do before getting their house on the market. And then they wonder why the buyers aren't coming. Oh, hi.
Hey.
So I'm Elizabeth Stafford, and this is Lindie, Derrick,
Hello.
and we're here. We are brokers and realtors with Coldwell Banker Tomlinson Associated Brokers here in the Tri-Cities. And we wanted to take a minute to go over a few tips with you guys about home readiness if you're getting ready to sell. It's a great market, great time to list your home, you know, and big part of that is being ready to get it on the market.
So usually when we meet with you, we like to say the first step is making your house look like a pretty shiny penny. So the first things that you can do are when you walk in the door, when you walk up to the steps, the door, the steps, the curb appeal, the welcome mat, all of that matters. And specifically when you walk in the front door, you have that first impression, and so it's important that that first impression is a good one all the way around.
The very first thing that any potential buyer sees is your front door and your entryway. So you want to make sure that they're not cluttered, dirty. Especially what you get a lot of is a lot of the spider webs and wasp nests and things around your doorway, especially if you've got a deeply covered eave, and you really want to make sure that you're getting those and dusting those things down.
Absolutely. And then another area to remember is when they walk in, the first thing they usually see again is the door, the coat closet. And a lot of people kind of will tend to shove things in the coat closet when they're getting ready to sell the house, or we'll just put things in closets. Well, when they open those doors and they see a lot of stuff shoved in there, it gives the appearance that you don't have enough space for all your things. It makes it look
like your house is too cluttered and it's not going to fit their items.
Yeah, because what they want to picture, if you open it up and you see a clear, nice open space with a few coats nicely hung up, some boots at the bottom or whatever, they go, oh, plenty of space for my things too. Not, oh gosh, I don't have any, there's not enough room for these people, there won't be enough room for me.
And that applies to all the closets throughout the house. You know, if you're selling your house, you're getting ready to move your house, so take the time to go through all of your closets, take the stuff that you don't need anymore, donate it to Goodwill, anything that you don't use regularly, box it up, put it, you know, on a shelf in the garage, or better yet, if you can get a small storage unit, get it out of the house altogether if possible.
Yeah, it's a really good opportunity to kind of go through your things, because the other thing is the less you have to move, the less expensive it is as well, especially if you're paying by the pound for the movers, right?
Oh, yes, yes. You know, and you might find treasure. You never know what's been buried in those closets all those years. Have a look around.
Another thing, so one of the most important things I think with staging and that first impression is smell. So we've got sight, sound, you know, we've got all these senses that we use, and our eyes are the first thing when we come in. You'll either see clutter or no clutter. You'll see a nice shiny floor or not a nice shiny floor. So you want to make sure all the visuals are what you want your first impression to be. But another really important sense is the sense of smell.
The nose knows.
The nose knows. And you know, it's funny because a lot of people, you don't even know that your own house may have a scent or a smell. Might not be a bad smell, might just be, you know, maybe it's a little stuffy. Maybe it's you have animals.
You've got a dog. Maybe you cook a lot of spicy foods and that just, it smells good to you, but it might be overwhelming to somebody else.
And so the good thing is usually to neutralize that smell. So here's kind of a funny example that happened recently. So I was listing a house with a lady, and she had teenage boys. And so
smell.
Yeah, well, no. but the idea was you know, they're all active, all in sports, all that kind of thing. So when they come into the front door, what's the first thing that happens? Kick off their shoes, whatever shoes, and they're at the front door. And even if they're in a nice little stack by the front door, there's still shoes by the front door. So when you walk in, that's the first thing you see, and there's a little bit maybe of a smell to that. However, the solution was, gosh, I'll just go buy this great big wicker basket, and it's cute, and we'll put all the shoes in the wicker basket, and then when you walk in, you won't see any shoes or whatever. Well, what that did in this case was create a tunnel of boy shoe smell up through the wicker basket into the front entrance of the home. So not a good first impression, and not even thinking about it going, oh, visually this will be pretty.
It was a great attempt, but the follow-through just didn't quite work. So the one thing to be careful with smells, though, is if you put a lot of scents in the air to try and make your house smell better, sometimes it does the opposite effect. Sometimes it makes it seem as if you're trying to mask an odor that you know is there. So I recommend, you know, instead of going with the heavy air fresheners and the Scentsies and all of that, I recommend, you know, just putting some small bowls of potpourri out. First of all, deep clean, free, easiest way to make your house smell better and look better and show better and sell better. And you can boil a small bottle or a small, pot of water with maybe some vanilla extract or some lemon wedges or orange wedges, and that really neutralizes a lot of the odors in the house.
I agree. I really like the citrus fruit cut up in boiling water and put that, because it's a very fresh, clean scent. The other thing is the plugins. If you get the plugins, which I do use a lot of the plugins.
And I use them sometimes as well.
But the light plugins, I don't get anything fruity or overwhelming, because some of those, you walk in, you go, whoa, it's watermelon here. And really what you want to smell is fresh and clean. And so they do have scents that are specifically just clean, very neutral, like clean linen or fresh rain, things like that that don't have a strong fruity smell, a strong vanilla smell, anything that's too strong, because some people will be sensitive to that as well.
I'm very sensitive to the chemical odors, and don't overmix your smells. And also remember that, pay attention to the square footage for those plugins. You don't need one in every outlet. That's going to be so overpowering that people aren't going to be able to walk through your home.
Right. And so the idea is when they do open the door, that when they walk in, it looks fresh, it smells fresh. There's nothing worse than when you walk in and if something has even a slight odor, your immediate thought is, what is that? Where is it? And I want to get out of here. And that's, again, you want people in, welcome them in, let them see how beautiful your home is, how great and it smells, how nice it's been taken care of and maintained, which leads us to another part of staging, and that is decluttering. So when you depersonalizing, why don't you touch on that first?
So depersonalizing is, first of all, it's really helpful for selling, and it's really helpful for your family's safety, to be quite honest. So try to take a lot of the family photos and portraits, children's names. We all, when we've got some young kids, we like to put the names over the beds. Take those down. It's first of all, it allows the potential buyers to better envision themselves in your home. When they see all of your smiling faces and names everywhere, you're kind of laying claim to the property because it's yours now, but you're trying to sell it. And then again, you don't want to have, especially pictures, I don't like to see a lot of pictures of small children in the house when you've got a lot of strangers coming through. Myself personally, when I take listings, when I take the photos for the listings, if the family photos are on the walls, I actually go into a photo editing software, and I will give it the America's Most Wanted treatment, so to speak, and pixelize it and take those out so that your family's pictures aren't all over the internet and all over Zillow and therealtor.com. So it's a really good first step to just pull a lot of those family photos, not all of them, but a big proportion of them down if you can.
And then, so along with that, we talked about, and we brushed on decluttering. So it's important that, again, what we're talking about, emptying out the closets, but even just when you walk into your living room, if you have extra pillows on the couch and your throw and your slippers and maybe your on the end table, or your electronics or magazine, anything like that. Yeah. Just if you have a place to tuck those, particularly when you have somebody coming in for a showing of your home, just have a place where maybe it's a drawer in the end table where you just slide everything in, tuck it away so that they see as many smooth surfaces as possible, so they can, again, envision their things there. People do look, even though you're not selling your furniture with the house, you're not selling your things, they don't just look at the four walls, they do look at everything. So it's important to make sure that it's clean and decluttered as possible. And also the arrangement of the furniture is something that's important too. So if you have overstuffed big furniture, maybe you pull one or two pieces out of the living arrangement during the time that it's showing, so that people have opportunity to walk around and take a look in the different areas of that room. So there's a good flow as you're going through.
It's really essential that you have the open walkways, because if people feel like they can't move through your room, it really, no matter how large that room may be, it makes it feel very, very small if you don't have a nice, open, easy walkway to get through.
The other thing, just thinking light is very important. I always like as much light as possible. So you'll hear us when we're getting your home ready to be listed. We'll say, make sure that when you leave, you turn all the lights on and leave the windows open or whatever, because light and bright sells. You don't want anything dark and gloomy, and especially in the wintertime when it's getting dark earlier, and that's a lot of times when you look at houses is when you get off work. And so please have all of the outside lights on of the house, and then all the inside lights as well. If it is dusk or even morning or day, when you have the windows open and the curtains open, it's important to make sure that your windows are clean as well. Again, especially this time of year, we've had a lot of rain and we have things like that, so you may have more dirt than you would normally have, and so it's just a good time to get in there and polish everything up. So when the sun is shining through the windows, they're not seeing any of the fingerprints that are on there.
And the light is such an overlooked and important aspect. I have a story about that, actually. Good. You know, had shown a house that was well over the $500,000 mark, and beautiful home, just magnificent, but this time of year it gets dusk so early in the day. And speaking of light, your wall color reflects your light, and this house had particularly dark walls, and it had particularly dim overheads and no floor lights. So no matter how beautiful that house was during the daylight when the sun was shining, when we came through it at about 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, the rooms just felt so very small, and to be quite honest, my buyers couldn't get out of the house fast enough. So, and it was really unfortunate because I know I've actually been in that house before during the bright sunshine summer days, and it's just a magnificent property, and it, you know, but with the dark colors on the wall and not enough light shining in the room, it has a big psychological impact.
Yeah. And a couple of the other things too, on the outside, we talked about first impressions. So a lot of times people will do a drive-by before they actually have the appointment to come in and see your house. So the outside curb appeal is extremely important. Super as well. Again, especially, well, any time of year, but you know, when you're in the spring and you've got your flowers coming up and all of that, it's more pleasant. In the fall, going into winter, again, it's dark. You want to have a lot of light, but you also want to make sure that the entry into your house is safe. Leaves are swept away.
Remove any debris and detritus.
Yes, exactly. Make sure that your hoses are rolled up because they may be covered by leaves, and you don't want any tripping hazards or anything like that. So when people drive up, they should see a lit up, nice, bright, clean entry, clean home. The one thing we haven't talked about is when you have small children and you're trying to sell your house and you are occupying the house. Yes. There's a lot of, that's hard, and we totally understand that as agents going in. So do you want to say?
I do, having small children running amok in my house, I do understand the difficulty with that. And of course, it's going to be lived in. You've got your small children, especially really small children, and we all know how many toys just explode around them into piles. So this again touches back on the decluttering and cleaning out your closets. If you can have some closet space in each room, and possibly, you know, a large drawer or something in each room cleaned out and empty, so when you know you have a showing coming, if you've got maybe some laundry baskets tucked into those closets, you can do a real quick sweep of the room, shove the toys in, put it neatly in the closet, close the door, and not have to stress about the fact that, you know, you can't let your children really pull their toys out and play while your house is on the market, which can be very stressful for everybody involved. Yeah. So by doing that, you can have a really quick and easy cleanup before showings. The same applies for, you know, they're going to smudge up the countertops, they're going to touch everything. So maybe the wipes that pop out of the containers are great to just have sitting around so that you get the call, hey, I've got somebody coming to show the house in 10-15 minutes, you know, or an hour. You can do the quick clean up, grab a wipe, give it a quick wipe down, and be out the door pretty quickly. You know, I mean, nobody expects, especially with small children, I mean, every buyer that I know that's been in a house, we see the toys, we understand it's not going to be, you know, IKEA showing ready, you know, but it does make it better and able
those
for
are
you
really
to be out faster.
Those are really good tips, just to have things handy, because you never know when you're going to get a call and they say, and you say, oh yeah, you can see it within 2 hours. Well, 2 hours you may just have to get home, do that quick clean, so it's nice to have those kinds of things ready for you to grab and go. So that's a really good piece of advice. The other thing to do is, if you do have small kids, you can, you know, let them know what's going on, and if they know what home you're moving into, that's an incentive. But also another thing with small children is to give them incentives to keep their own space clean. So one of the things I know I've advised some of my parents to do is say, okay, while we're showing this house, if you can be a big girl or big boy and clean up after yourself, just really small tasks. Like making sure, age appropriate, making sure that when they're done brushing their teeth, they have one of those wipes that are handy with, and they just wipe out the toothpaste out of the sink bowl. So if they do that every single day, and then they feel like they have part ownership in the sale of the house, and they're, you know, they're involved and they're a part of it. So they get to do the wipe of the, you know, sink before they leave, or you know, a good one is to say, if you can make your bed every day, and making their bed depending on their age may be different. Maybe it's just pulling up the sheet and fluffing the pillow, and you can teach them that, and that's fun for us as agents to bring them into the room and go, this is how you make the bed for when people come to see, and you can show them how you spread it out, put their pretty pink blanket or, you know, blue towel or whatever, and make it, you know, kind of a fun little task for them. But if they do that every day, then they get some kind of a reward at the end when the house is sold.
I was just going to say, don't underestimate the power of bribery. I know this really clever agent, no names to be spoken, who was listing a house and had some just adorable little children in it, and who had made a deal with them if they helped their parents with the readiness of the house in the same ways described, that they might just get movie and a popcorn, you know, after the sale. And I thought, well, just how wonderful is that? And I'm going to bribe my little home sellers the same way, I think, from here on out. And it really helped.
Yeah, it does. And it gives them something to look forward to and a sense of accomplishment. So, I don't know. Do you have anything else we should?
I think that's the basic tips, you know, aside from just the common sense items of making sure that any home repairs, small things that you can do in advance, making sure you don't want toilets that run, you don't want faucets that drip, you know, it's a small thing. It's usually a cheap new flapper in a toilet. That's a $10 fix, 10 minutes of your time. But by ignoring that, and the buyers are going to hear that and then think, well, what else is wrong with the property? Well, if they have toilets that leak and toilet sinks that drip, then what else? Is there a leak here? Is there a leak there? So doing those small repairs that aren't going to cost you much, making sure maybe the nail holes are filled if there are a lot of nail holes and stuff like that, makes a really big difference.
Or WD-40 in your locks. I love that, because that, you know, anytime it's hard to get into the lock, again, that's a first impression.
And it is.
So make sure that you've got, you know, everything nice and ready to go.
Can't tell you how many houses I try to turn the key and I can't get it turned, and I think, wow.
And as a homeowner, you know exactly how to push and pull it and make it open, and it doesn't seem like a big deal. But when you're struggling with potential buyers of the home right behind you,
trying to figure that thing out, it's a small thing, but it's a really important thing. So I think that we've covered most things. Or I haven't been able to see if there are a lot of questions, and you'll have to forgive the fact that we're both old enough that it's hard to see the phone way up there to know if there are any comments. I don't think I can read that fine of print, and I don't feel like squinting and making that too obvious.
But if you do have any questions, you can call Coldwell Banker in Kennewick, and any of our agents would, I'm sure, be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Or go to our websites.
Right.
Either one of us can help. I've got some home staging tips on my website. I'm sure you probably do as well.
I do, yep.
What is your website, Lindie?
Lindie Derrick at ColdwellBanker.com.
Fantastic. And mine is yourtricityrealestatepro.com. So both of us have a lot of helpful information. Stop by and see us, give us a call, or just stop in the office and say, hey, we're always welcome, or we're always willing to welcome people in.
Right. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for listening.